Oh, sorry guys. You caught me midway through my pre-recording of a lesson ritual. Um, Sorry if you don't like the sound of fingers cracking. Anyway, I'm here today to explain to you all about rituals, which is our next focus for cultural studies in Year 8. So today I'm just going to go through the basics, 101 of ritual. You're going to complete an activity about rituals in your own life. So I'm going to start by talking about this word rituals and what our learning intention is for the day and your success criteria. So basically, by the end of today's lesson, I want you to have an understanding of what rituals are. So if you, by the end of this PowerPoint, a couple of videos that you're going to watch after this and the activity, have a pretty good understanding of what rituals are, then you are good to go. Your success criteria, so this is how your activity is going to work today. First of all, you need to be able to define the word ritual. So I'm going to give you the definitions. You just need to make sure you got your head around those. You're going to explain why people take part in rituals. That will be part of your activities today. Then you're going to identify rituals that you actually take part in. So things that you do that can be considered rituals, and then explaining why you take part in those rituals or why those rituals that you take part in take place. So I'm going to start with the word rituals. Now, when I was younger, the word ritual, when it came to my head, I would often think of religion or ceremonies or something really, really formal. So that is one type of ritual, which you can see the definition here. It says a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. So that's like a definition of a really formal ritual. So that an example of that might be like Sunday Mass at a church. It could be like a wedding ceremony with the exchanging of rings. Another example of that might be a funeral procession, or perhaps even a baptism or something like that. Hanukkah, breaking fast after Ramadan, all of those can be considered rituals. Another example of a ritual, though, which is sort of an example of kind of like a less formal one, is this definition here, which says a series of actions or type of behavior regularly and invariably followed by someone to serve a purpose. So that is basically anything you do in your life that you do more than once that serves some sort of purpose to you. So, for example, since isolation has hit and I've been teaching, every afternoon when I stop teaching, the first thing I do is go downstairs, put my shoes on, put my headphones in, and I'll take my dog for a walk for about an hour each afternoon. And that is a really good way that I sort of get out, the fresh air. It gives me time to think and reset. So that's a ritual that I've been doing every single day that has served a purpose for me. Another really good example of a ritual is almost when people are a bit superstitious. So they have some sort of ritual prior to playing their favorite video game or going out and playing sport, where they listen to a certain song, they do a certain number of laps of the pitch to get themselves hyped up for a game. That is a ritual that serves a purpose for that person. So that's another example of a ritual. So basically, there's a couple of different types of rituals, and I'm going to talk about them with you now. We're going to be focusing mainly on formal rituals in cultural studies, but I think it's also important you get a good understanding of what informal rituals are, because those are the ones that you can probably identify with in your life a lot better. So rituals can be thought of in two ways, formal and informal rituals, and then there's also family rituals as well, which can sometimes be a mix of the two. Formal rituals are the ones that probably have come to your mind the quickest. They mark special occasions. People normally get dressed up, or it's on a particular day each year. So there's examples like weddings, funerals, graduation ceremonies, baby showers, baptisms, Anzac Day services, anything like that where there's an order of events and it's marking something really significant in somebody's life. So you would have already taken part in a graduation ceremony in Year 6. So that's a form of ritual that that school puts on every year to symbolize the Year 6 cohort moving on to high school. Then there's a bit more of a confusing one, which is the informal rituals. So they're a lot harder to actually define and give examples for, because they actually change from person to person. So depending on who you are as a person, those informal rituals that you take part in and value are going to be different. So for example, you might have a ritual where on your walk to school, you listen to your favorite song every morning, gets you pumped up for the day, gets you in a good mood, gets you in a good space. So that's an example of ritual you might take part in. Family rituals are also an example of rituals, and sometimes these can be kind of a mix of formalities, but also informal rituals too. So things that are sort of a tradition that your family does no matter what, can be thought of as family rituals. So something like if you go to the same place every single summer holidays, that's a ritual that your family takes part in. Or eating dinner at the table every night is also a really good example of a ritual. Every night you come together at the table, you share a meal, you talk about your day. That's a ritual that serves purpose for your family. So there's another example of that one too. So I've got some examples here just of formal rituals. And some of these, you might have been to some of these, you might have taken part in some of them, or you might just know about them from TV. So up here at the top left, we've got a graduation ceremony. So very popular in the United States to get dressed up all in black, throw your caps in the air once you finish high school or college. So that's an example of a ritual. A ceremony that has lots of rituals within it. So it's a graduation ceremony, but there's the ritual of dressing up in black. There's the ritual of throwing your caps in the air. There's the ritual of getting the certificate and shaking hands. So lots of rituals within that ceremony. On the right-hand side, we have a funeral. The guy on the very right is on his phone for some inappropriate reason. So that's an example of a ceremony that has lots of rituals within it. So ritual for that might be a montage of photos with some music over the top is very common. The funeral procession, where people carry the casket out of the funeral home into the place of burial. And then often when someone is being lowered into the casket, sometimes people throw flowers on the casket too. So those are all rituals within that ceremony. Bottom right-hand corner, we have a picture that says, "Oh baby," which is an example of a baby shower, or sort of a more of a 21st century thing is actually gender reveal parties. So, you know, some rituals here are that often you play games related to the baby. You get gifts as the pregnant person for your baby. And sometimes at gender reveal parties, you know, there's a famous gender reveal, whether it be a cake, or a pop of a balloon or whatever. So that's another ritual that might take place. A wedding is a ceremony with lots and lots and lots of different rituals in it. You have the ritual of, you know, the bride gets dressed up in white. There's an exchanging of rings. There's the procession down the aisle, and then the father giving the bride away, these are very traditional heteronormative rituals, but examples of rituals nonetheless. The left side, I have an example that's a bit left field, no pun intended, which is the New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks, performing the haka. So a ritual that they have every single time this rugby team plays internationally, no matter where they are in the world, they will perform the haka. So that's like a pre-game ritual that they all take part in formally to sort of get themselves psyched for the game. Here's some examples I thought of informal rituals, which you might relate with, you might not. On the bottom left-hand side, I have someone making a bed. So you're part of your like sort of morning routine might be that you get up each morning, you make your bed, and makes you feel better about your life. So that might be a ritual that you do every day. Above that, we've got the two people here holding the backpacks walking down the street. So I've tried to do that as an example of like walking to school each morning with the same friend every morning, no matter what, as part of your morning ritual. So that might make you feel comfortable for the day, and it kind of might feel weird the day that they're sick or whatever and you're walking alone. So just something that you do every day that serves a purpose to you. This big middle picture, I've got two people playing video games. So what I've thought of here is that maybe when you're playing video games at home, you have a certain controller that you want to play with every time, or you have a certain seat that you sit in, or there's a certain way you sort of start playing to get yourself psyched up to play your game. So that might be part of your ritual too. Top right-hand corner, I got two people eating takeaway in front of the TV. I know a really big ritual in my house is that Friday night is takeaway night, and basically we just get whatever we want to eat, and we sit in front of the TV all Friday night and just watch TV and eat really, really junky food, which is a really important ritual in my week because it kind of helps me get psyched up for the weekend. So that might be something that you do in your family. And then bottom right-hand corner, I've got a picture here of LeBron James doing his really famous sort of pre-game ritual. Every time he'd come out and play a game, he'd do this action, and it would really kind of help pump him up. So that's his informal ritual. No one else really does it, but it's really important to him. Got some examples of family rituals here. So the bottom left-hand corner, eating dinner at the table. So you might, once a week, your family might come together and sit and share a meal at the table to talk about how their day was. Might not be, but some families do. Above that, I've got a family going to the football. So if your family's football crazy, it might be a ritual that you guys go to every home game, or you guys try to go once a month or once a season. But it's a ritual that happens more than once, okay, that has purpose for your family and meaning. On the right-hand side, I got some little family playing board games. You might have like a board games night in your family, or like a family night where you spend time together and do something together as a sort of type of ritual. The bottom right-hand corner is my example of going on holiday to the same place, or going on family holidays together. So it might be that every September holidays you go on a family holiday, and that's a ritual that happens every year that your family take part in. And then the last one I've got, like just family night on the TV. So you might come together every now and then, watch a movie together as a family. It's a bit of a ritual of sort of getting together. So those are some really good examples of rituals. Hopefully I've been able to explain this in a way that you understand what a ritual is, and you might sort of start to have an idea about why they're important or why they take place. The next activity today is going to be watching a YouTube clip on Stephen Curry and his pre-game rituals. He has a lot, and just thinking about the purpose that they serve him. After you watch the Stephen Curry YouTube clip, you'll be completing a worksheet on your Google Classroom about rituals, and then you're just going to click turn in on that, and then you'll be done for the day. So thanks for listening, Year 8, and look forward to seeing you back at school soon.